Happy International Women's Day. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I want to start off by officially welcoming everyone to World Connect's International Women's Day event, Bias Breakers in Nigeria. My name is Vanessa DeBio, and I'm the World Connect Program Officer in Nigeria. I'll be facilitating and moderating today's event, and I'm really looking forward to taking us through today's celebration. Please feel free, just as a couple of housekeeping rules, please feel free to utilize the chat box throughout the program. Unfortunately, even though we can't be together in person, we really want to hear from everyone. And so please feel free to send questions or comments to everyone so that people can see it, or even directly to the panelists. World Connect would like to thank everyone for attending this afternoon/evening, but most importantly, would also like to thank our sponsors. A big thank you to Bister Village Do Good program. Bister Village has been a partner of World Connect since 2018, and they support our shared vision of a more equitable world through philanthropic efforts to empower women and children. We would also like to thank Jumia Nigeria for the promotional support, and of course, our program funder, Flour Mills Nigeria, for their ongoing support of health, education, and environment sustainability projects throughout Nigeria. For those of you who are not familiar with World Connect invests in catalytic funding and the ideas of community leaders all over the world. Up to date, World Connect has been able to invest in 1,859 projects across 42 countries. 95% of our investments achieve the intended project objective, whether that means better health, education, or economic opportunity for communities. And 20% show impact beyond the project's success, which could potentially lead to increased leadership, leverage investment, or the ability to scale. We started working here in Nigeria in 2018, and since then we've launched 99 projects with seed funding. Today, you will hear from 3 project leaders who are not only fighting to see development in their communities, but are women who also fight the bias that women face all over the world as leaders. Thankfully, the world is changing, and at World Connect, we believe that equity and development means local leaders must be driving progress. We support people often getting their first shot at leading a project, and 70% of our grantees are first-time grant winners, including our speakers today. And we can't wait for you to hear from them. To give a bit of insight on our grantees, we'd like to share a brief video to highlight and celebrate their accomplishments through the seed funding they received from World Connect.
Woman don't suffer, lower everybody. Assignment. So far, enjoy forever. But you no pay attention to the intimidation she dey face. No be like water. You no get enemy. If woman get confidence,
Let's please give a round of applause to all of our project leaders that we're going to be celebrating today. And once again, happy International Women's Day. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first project leader, Jenny. Hello, Jenny.
Hi. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having us here, Vanessa. Thank you.
Of course, of course. So we're excited to hear from you. But before we start, I just want to ask you, like, what motivates you to do this work and everything else that you're doing in Nigeria and the world overall?
Yes, thank you again, Vanessa, and happy International Women's Day to you and everyone joining us today. So the motivation for our work actually stems from the fact that I experienced firsthand some of the challenges that our organization is trying to solve right now. The challenges of hunger, poverty, sexual abuse, domestic violence, early marriages, and all of those challenges were some of the things that we grew up having to deal with. And I was able to overcome those through getting an education and seeing myself through higher institution by learning entrepreneurship skills, and also through learning technology, how to use the internet, how to use applications on computers. Those were the things that helped me to be able to overcome some of those challenges. So I was inspired, along with some of my team, to go back and teach other girls these things, equip them with these skills so they can be able to fight their way out of it as well.
Thank you so much for sharing, because a lot of people probably don't know what motivated you to start this project. So thank you so much for enlightening us. You've launched 3 projects with World Connect funding. Take us through your creative process in determining the right solutions for your community specifically.
Yeah, that's an amazing question, because thinking about this question, I just remembered one of our girls. Her name is Hafsat. So I remember the first project that World Connect funded, which was in 2019, the She Leads Through Business project. When the girl arrived, I was standing right beside her, and she said in her local language, "Ni bangang abunchi anambafa." What that means is, I can't see food around here. What are these people doing? You know, and that is because a lot of the interventions that they had seen actually came from the point of charity, you know, giving them food, giving them clothes. So whenever they saw an organization coming to the community, the first thing they expected was food or clothes, you know. And frankly speaking, that was what we two were doing at the beginning, right? But I realized that I'm standing here bringing food to you. I was once in this community. So if I can be this person here, bringing support to you, it means every single girl staring at me in this community has the same potential to do exactly the same thing, solve problems, right? So that was why we began to look at the issue from, okay, how do we empower these girls to become problem solvers and not just excuse me, and not just, you know, give them arms or food and all of those things. So thankfully, World Connect believed in us enough to fund our first empowerment project, and Hafsat today has gone back to school. She has taken her final exams and she's applying to go to the university. She has also started her own business with which she is funding her university education. And the most outstanding part of it is that she is launching a new safe space in August to train 20 girls in what she has learned. So that is just how we want our intervention to go, you know, raising problem solvers as opposed to just supporting people.
No, that's amazing. It just shows that it's a true testament to the work that you guys are doing. Thank you so much for sharing that story with Hotspot. And then lastly, I want to ask you, you know, the theme of International Women's Day is breaking the bias. Can you talk about bias you've experienced and how you feel you're working to break it, especially being a woman in Nigeria?
Well, I think every single person would be able to relate with this particular bias that I always have to deal with, which is being a mom and a wife and having these big dreams and wanting to just save the whole world, right? I remember when I first got my first international opportunity to be trained in the US, my daughter was 6 months old and I had to leave her behind to go and live in the US for 2 months for a training in civic leadership. And I remember how both family and friends fought me for that, calling me an irresponsible mother, calling me, you know, an insensitive wife and all of those. So but it wasn't a problem when my husband had to travel for 3 months for a course, right? So those are some of the things I had to deal with. And that was what made me really vocal. That experience made me really vocal on social media about women being able to both be excellent moms and wives and still accomplish so much in their career. And that has just been one of my focus, to be able to let women understand that you do not have to give up one over the other. You can accomplish all of them, right? And of course, to let people know that when women have to deal with things like this, the point is not to limit them, but to provide support for them. So yeah, that has been my experience, and I'm glad I was able to pull through. So that presently I am now in the United States doing my master's and my PhD in leadership, and I have my girls with me and my husband with me as well. So I won on both sides. Yeah.
You surely did. Thank you so much, Jenny. I mean, this is just a picture. It's not even the whole full, depiction of what it is that you've been able to experience as a project leader, but then as a woman and as a wife and as a mother. But even in the short time, we truly appreciate you taking out time to speak with us and tell us a little bit about your story. Thank you so much, Jenny. We can give Jenny some claps, some virtual claps. I really appreciate it. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome our second project leader to the stage, Mrs. Omobolanle. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone, and happy International Women's Day. Thank you for having me here, Work Connect, and thank you for being an awesome host, Vanessa.
Of course, of course. So I'd like to just kick off this conversation by asking you, what motivates you as a project leader, as a woman, as a wife?
Okay, so I grew up in a community in Ibadan where extreme poverty is not just a statistic. It is an everyday reality. It's something that we see on the street every day. And then I wanted to do something because I grew up seeing good people being turned to bad people due to hunger, hopelessness, and then desperation for them to survive. On the streets, we daily see how people come in and recruit young people into different kind of social vices. We see these recruiters banking on their vulnerability and then their hopelessness. So as I grow up, I wanted to do something, but after my work with different NGOs, I realized that an individual can actually make impact. So I decided to move back to my community. I worked in Abuja for a very long time. So I moved back to my community in Ibadan, and I decided I'm going to help people with what I know. Now, I was able to support myself through university education with my fashion skill. And I felt, okay, if I can do this, if I can break the shackle of poverty with fashion designing, then I can help one or two women break out from this. I wanted to just help one or two girls around me. And that's how this whole thing started for me.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for also sharing your upbringing and your childhood and how that played a role in you being able to actually be motivated to start this project. Furthermore, I want to ask you, what are some of the positive outcomes / results that you found from your project, or even for participants or even the broader community as a result of what you've been able to do?
Okay, so when we started the project, like I said earlier, we just wanted to help one or two girls to have the same opportunity that I have, go through, have a formal education, give them hope. But as we started the project, we realized that we needed to do more. And then we started looking for funding. We started helping one or two people. The effect was a little bit slow until we were able to get Work Connect funding. And then with Work Connect funding, we were able to take in as much as 20 women at once. And then with the training, for me, the hopelessness is the most important aspect for me, because when people are hopeless, they can do about anything just to survive. So we started selling hopes to young girls. We started letting them know that you can be, if I can come out of this, you can come out of this. And then we've been able to empower over 47 women who now have their own businesses. Some of them, I have a story of a girl who had gone back to university just like I have. And then some other women have been able to prior to the training and they starting their business, they were unable to send their kids to school. We now have some women sending their kids back to school. And then we also, as an individual, as a business owner, and also as an individual for me, I've been able to grow, I've been able to learn more. And then the business, in fact, the rate at which the business grew was outstanding for me. It wasn't what I expected, but with the funding, we're able to get enough equipment, we're able to get as many people into this opportunity. We also now have people who initially do not trust us, who do not believe in what we're doing, now trusting us. And then we now have people who want to come and pay us to learn from us beyond just doing the free training. For me, is again, going back to the hopelessness, for me is the giving hope to people, giving hope to young girls that they can be more, giving hope to young girls that they can live, they can be anyone they want to be. They can be Michelle Obama, they can be Awoshika, anybody they want to be. This is the major impact for me personally.
Thank you so much, because I mean, people see the project, they see the pictures, they see the videos, but this is an opportunity for you to show them the results. And we're so glad that you can be able to share this journey, your journey with us. Lastly, as I asked Ms. Jenny, today is International Women's Day. Once again, we're really honing on this topic of breaking the bias. Can you please tell us about any bias you've experienced and how you've been able to work to breaking it?
Okay, so again, because I'm from the kind of community I grew up from, I see women not being given enough opportunity to be financially independent. In Nigeria, poverty is womanized. We see women being subjected every day, not wanting to give. We start from not wanting to educate the girl child. We start from marrying them off early, and then they have limited opportunity to be who they want to be. So for me, the bias I want us to continue to talk about is to give women opportunity to be who they want to be. We need to give women opportunity to earn an income. We need to give them opportunity to say, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an architect, I want to be a footballer, not just you have to be in the room, you have to cook, you have to take care of children. Fine, we need to do that, but we also need to give them opportunity to be financially independent. I also work in the domestic violence field. I also see women being subjected and then not wanting to leave their abusers because they do not have financial independence. So they depend on the same person who is constantly abusing them. We need to break this bias. We need to give women opportunity to explore, to be who they want to be, and to earn income, to make, to choose about their mental health, to choose what they want to do with their body, and how to have a choice on the number of children they want to have, not society telling them, you have one kid, can you have more? You have three, can you have more, and all that. So we need to, the biases are so much, I'm so passionate about it. If I go on, I'll probably never stop. So, but that's for me. We need to first of all break the bias of putting women down financially. We need to stop that first.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Omobolanle. For all of our panelists, some of you may not be in Nigeria, but these project leaders are giving us firsthand experience of what women are dealing with on the ground. And so please, let's take advantage of really hearing these stories, because you may not have an opportunity to be in Nigeria, but you're hearing it firsthand here. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Thank you. And last but not least, I would like to welcome Kaltumi. Welcome, and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you so much, Vanessa.
Of course. So I just want to start off our conversation by asking you what motivates you, and how did the issue of period poverty come to concern you?
Once again, thank you, Vanessa, for having me speak today. And thank you, What Connect, for creating a platform as this where we can share our stories. I grew up in an environment where nearly 60% of women struggle to survive on less than $1 per day. This might sound impossible, but this is the real life scenario of many women and girls in the northern part of Nigeria. I was motivated by the pain and hardship that women go through on daily and monthly basis to keep ends meet. This is including but not limited to poor education and the health of women, to mention but few. Realizing the dangers that might pose negative impact in the lives of these women and children is the reason why there was a push that catalyzed, my inquisitiveness to come up with an innovative solution to end period poverty. This is not a movie. This is a real life experience where I had met with young girls and women who use newspapers, rags, and even used pads from refuse dump for their period. The high rate of poverty and illiteracy that created these, circumstances is the major push for me. And I made a personal decision to help ameliorate the suffering of the people, the women and children in my community through education and skills acquisition. Thank you, Vanessa.
Wow, no, thank you so much for sharing, Kaltumi. And once again, these are real life challenges that women are dealing with. Thank you so much for being transparent and sharing this with us. I want to ask you, what is one thing you wish the audience knew about your project, your leadership, or your community overall?
It's really amazing that after the very first investment or support from Word Connect, we began to see recognition from other companies and international organizations. A very good example is that we got a funding from an international organization called Peace Direct. The funding was meant for to support local ideas at the community level to support peace building. It was called the Local Action Fund. And then this did not only change the status quo of my organization, but also myself. And today, I am not only a founder, but also an employer.
That's amazing. That's just a testament. So from that small catalytic funding, you guys were able to receive something so much larger to also impact the work that you're doing. And then, of course, going along on this theme of breaking the bias, just like I've asked our two other project leaders, I have to ask you, what can you say in terms of the experience you've had with bias, and how are you working to break it in your own community?
Answer that question, I would like to also state that this international donor invested $60,000 on our project here in Nigeria. And to answer your next question, Vanessa, for a very long time now, there has been an intergenerational resentment of women, ostracized from being part of leadership and decision-making. And as a lady coming from the northern part of Nigeria, trust me, there are cultural norms and some religion limitations that kind of thwart women from fulfilling their potentials. So standing against all these odds was a challenge because, being the voice of other young girls, I have so many times received, comments like, go get married, that was at the age of 25. I got so many, so many people coming to tell me, go get married, your work, you mix up with the male gender, it is not proper for you as a woman, it is not decent. I got comments like this. But guess what? I have a dream, I have a vision to raise a generation of educated, empowered, and independent young girls and women. I had the picture, not just in my heart, but in the walls of my room. And I'm happy that today I achieved all that I have dreamed of. I'm not only a wife, I'm a mother. And all I can say is that when I am committed to achieve anything, I do not listen to what people have to say to discourage me. I raise my head high up and tell people, look, even when I'm being told that I cannot do it, that is the major push for me. That is the major motivation that I have to continue with whatever I want to achieve. And today I am glad that we are breaking the bias. Thank you.
Wow. I could not have ended this conversation on a better note. Thank you so much. Please, audience members, let's cheer on all of our panelists. Let's cheer on Ms. Kaltumi, Mrs. Omobolanle, and Ms. Jenny. We are truly appreciative for you guys to take out time to share your stories. At this time, I would like to add Hafsat Abiola to the conversation. Hafsat is a World Connect board member and the president of Women in Africa. Thank you so much for joining us, Hafsat.
Thank you for having me. It's lovely to listen to the incredible work that World Connect is doing. I've been privileged to be part of some of the visits that we make to local communities, but it's been over a year since I had that opportunity. So hearing from Omobolanle, Kaltumi, and Jenny has been really a gift. So I want to actually hear more from the three ladies, if you wouldn't mind. And perhaps I could start with Jenny. You know, all across the continent, we've seen the impact of COVID. It's really devastated, maybe not in terms of the health impact, but economic impact across Africa and including in Nigeria. Can you tell us, Jenny, how you mobilized for your community when COVID struck? What did you do, and what was the impact of COVID on the community that you serve?
That's a very interesting question, because the process of COVID-19 was really a journey for us. So the point where COVID started in Nigeria was actually at a time when we had just lost one of our girls to teenage pregnancy at the point of delivery. So personally, I was at that point where I was really tired of the challenges that we were facing, and then COVID hit, and we had just wrapped up the first project that World Connect had funded for us to train these girls. But the reality we saw was that even though we were already dealing with a level of hunger, this was about to quadruple, and we could see the numbers increasing. But two things I saw it as an opportunity to champion the cause of women, because I saw that if we were able to strengthen the arms of women to be the ones really holding up the family at this time when people were losing their work, because most people in this community are people who get paid daily on a daily basis. So when the lockdown hit, it was going to be a situation of no work, so no food. So we wanted to empower the women to be at the forefront, because when you are providing, your voice is stronger. And thankfully, we had this awesome organization called World Connect ready to back us up on that. I mean, it was such a perfect timing. And at that point, Kano State became the one of the hot spots for the COVID-19. If you were following the news, people were literally dying in their hundreds with really literally no explanation, because they couldn't test, they couldn't check. But our organization, we were actually one of the only local organizations who were still working in the midst of the COVID. I could remember that we would drive for miles and our car was the only one on the road, moving from community to community. Some of our volunteers and our team members are actually on this call right now. It was a time where our bravery and our commitment was tested, but it drew the attention of the state government. $5,000 funding for World Connect. We reached 13 local governments with supporting over 6,000 families for 2 months in the midst of COVID, and over 80% of those were women and girls. It was such a time for the women and girls in the community to shine, and we loved every second of it.
Well done, Jenny, and well done to all the members of your team that are on the call and that are not on the call. Just so exciting and wonderful to really be changing the narrative, because you're right there in the middle of a crisis offering solutions, you know? I'm wondering, Omobolanle, I'd mentioned that I've gone on some of the visits for World Connect when we go to local organizations. Unfortunately, I haven't come to your organization in Ibadan, which is one of the biggest cities in Africa. But I hear from the team that visited you that you said that the visit was even more important to you and for you than the funding. Can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so when we started the project, it was weird that if a business wants to be training people for free, so people don't understand what we're trying to do. Some of them have these diabolical ideas. Some of them were thinking perhaps we want to be recruiting the girls too and pimping them out and stuff. So it was a little bit difficult, but at least we're able to get some people, we're able to convince some people to come in and stuff. So, but when the World Connect team came in, initially I was expecting 2 people to come in, but when the whole team came in with the security and stuff, everybody on the street came out, wanted to know what was going on. And then when they left, the chairman of the community walked up to us and was like, what are you guys doing exactly? So we explained to them what we are doing, that we're trying to empower girls. And they're like, business, are you not supposed to be making money? But we're like, is beyond money for us. It's a passion. It's how to get as many girls out of issues. I don't want to start mentioning issues. Prostitution is one of the major issues why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because once these girls drop out from school, they don't know the next thing to do. So there's one daddy, one uncle somewhere giving them money, and then this is how they get introduced into prostitution. So it was weird initially, but after the World Connect visit, everything was like boom, boom, boom. The community called us for development programs. They asked for our ideas, and then the business just progressed like that. And then a lot of people who were skeptical before now sending kids to us. Right now, we're in the 4th cohort of our Fash for Them. Initially, we were begging people. Right now, we have people on queue for 5th cohort. So these are the things that we've been able to achieve. And by beyond the free training, those who can afford to pay us now come in and say, okay, we want to be trained by you. If you have international affiliation, if the white people trust you, then we trust you. So this is it for us. So the progression was really fast for us. And then it's been awesome. The fact that people now trust us, they believe in us, is amazing for us. And then the girls also trust us. The fact that we are able to actually make impact in the life of the right girls that we are trying to get out of the street, it became really easy. Other than before that we're practically begging them to come in and learn for free. So now they come in, it becomes really easy for us. It's been amazing what World Connect is doing. I wanted to use this opportunity to say thank you to the whole team for believing in this dream, because initially I was thinking maybe fashion cannot make impact. But when the first grant came in, it was an awesome experience for us.
I'm so happy to hear that, Omobolanle. And I've already told Vanessa that she and I, when I come down to Nigeria the next time, which I hope will be in April or in May, we'll make the 1-hour journey from Lagos to Ibadan. And aside from the wonderful clothes, I'm hoping to get something made by you guys in your company. But aside from that, I'm looking forward also to the food. So if some of the people on the chat are in Lagos and want us to do a trip, all of us together to Ibadan, yes, let's just do a day trip and go and be wowed by the incredible work that Omobolanle is
you guys
doing.
are welcome. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you. And Kaltumi, are you with us still? Your video isn't on. Okay. It's
I'm
lovely
right
to
here.
see your face. Oh, great. So Kaltumi, you're working on a very sensitive issue, one that women hardly talk about, period poverty. Can you tell us how that is to work on such an issue that is often kept hidden, but affects all women and girls, especially poor women and girls. Can you tell us how it has been to raise this issue in your community, which is very religious, quite conservative? And what surprised you when you began to open the conversation around this issue? What surprised you? And even not just what surprised you, but who surprised you in the response that you've gotten so far?
Thank you so much for your question. First, I would like to begin with just a little story. I will try to be brief. In the community where my project intervention took place, which is Angwankudu, I met with a young girl who, I had visited the community to have a focus group discussion with the women. I didn't want to put words into their mouth. I wanted to do more of eliciting to get, very quick to understand their situation, it's in terms of period poverty. And then at the beginning, the women were not too comfortable to speak out because, of course, I went to the committee with my team members, which, of course, there are male gender amongst us. And then one of the women came to me, and then she said to me, she came close to me and told me and said, can this young man excuse us? Some of us are not really comfortable, understanding the cultural dynamics, being that we are Northerners, just there are kind of reservations to the kind of things that we discuss in public. And then at that juncture, I knew that was a lesson learned for me and for my team members. And then I asked some the guys among our team to excuse us, and then we got talking. And then it was so shocking when we began to hear the stories of the young girls and women, where a girl even told me that once her period starts, that she stopped going to school. She doesn't even use rag. She says she stopped going to school until her period is over. Trust me, it might sound like so difficult for you to believe, but there are even worst case scenarios from the stories that we hear from these young girls and women. I told them, I asked if there are alternatives that they use for their period, and they said that they used some of the hetai that maybe the remains from the clothes that they sew, that's what they use on their period days. So that was when I began to think, what can we do to actually provide a more sustainable solution? Because there has been so many advocacies about free pads for girls, but you and I believe that most of the companies that produce the sanitary pads that we use, they're not charity organizations. They are into, they are in for profits. So it's not just feasible, it's not achievable. So that was when I began to think about other ways we could, bring a solution to this issue. And then I went online, I read, I did the research, I did so many readings, and then I came up with this solution where we can actually use our own material so that, young women and girls don't have to bother about, getting the materials, considering how expensive it's going to be. I just thought about how we can localize our own solution by using our own local materials. This is one of the pads that was made by the girls that were trained in the community. I thought about it. I tried it. I used it. It worked for me. And then I said, oh, wow, this is the time to make an impact in my community. So I reorganized another meeting with the community women and girls, and then with my team, supported by the village chief, which they called me Angwa, and then we're able to do the training. And after the training, the women were so happy. I wish I could share some of the videos of the women. They were so excited, and they said to me that they never knew that there could be a solution and an end to their suffering, on a monthly basis. So it's been an amazing journey. And I want to say a very big thank you to World Connect for believing in us, even without even knowing us. They've never met us, but they believed in us. They believed in young people, youth, and they believed in our idea, and they supported us. And thank you so much, World Connect, and the entire team of World Connect. Thank you.
Kaltumi, well done. And so everything that we've heard today is really the DNA of the work that World Connect is doing. We're getting vital resources into the hands of those who know best what is needed and who can drive development in their local communities. And that's why I joined World Connect's board, because I care about the dignity of the African people, and I want the African people to be at the center of driving their own development. And World Connect empowers them and trusts them and lets them lead that process. So it's really very moving for me to hear from Kaltumi, from Omobolanle, from Jenny, to see the difference that each one of them is making. And each one of their projects is one of the 99 projects that World Connect has launched in Nigeria to date, changing destinies, whether through the growth in leadership, lives saved, businesses launched, education advanced. The projects World Connect funds provide a platform for learning, for growth, and for development. If in one woman's life, she can bring about a transformation, and then through that transformation, bring about a transformation in the lives of others in our community, then we can all have confidence that if we can break the bias, we can change the world. These women are already showing that, each one of them, and through all the World Connect projects, 60% of which benefit women, they're really demonstrating and proving this concept. So I would like, tonight and today, as we celebrate International Women's Day, I'd like to thank Bicester Village Do Good program for their support, which has been ongoing for many years, and also for sponsoring this event. But I'd also like to ask all of us listening to this program, all of us, including the board members that are listening, who already do a lot for World Connect. Let's do more. Let's share this program on social media, and let's give money, because if we give World Connect more money, over 90% of World Connect's money goes directly to the people on the ground in the communities. They're really a very lean organization, very few staff, and the staff that they have is critical for supporting people like Kaltumi, Omobolanle, and Jenny, because they work with them through every step. There are people like Vanessa who are in Nigeria, or the team in Malawi. So it's not largely people in the US or the UK. World Connect is one of a different kind of organization, and we need to support it so it wins. So you will find the donate screen will be up for a few minutes when the music starts to play when we conclude. And that's your cue to really do whatever you can so that we can do more, because these people deserve more. And if you give support to World Connect will definitely support them. So thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you for all the work that each one of you is doing to break the bias. I am so proud to look at you and to know that through you, we're transforming Nigeria, and through all the other projects, we're transforming Africa. Let's continue to do the good work together. Thank you.
I dey reason. Now they look for your eyes, they make me shiver. The lie, you they say I'm not for you. I'm feeling you. If them like, call police.